Hello and welcome back, BuckPole viewers. This is David, and in this episode I'm going to show you how I make 100% pure paracord game haulers. This is my 6 drop or 6 spot game hauler. A good game hauler for rabbits. You can use it for ducks or geese. It's pushing it a little bit because it is a belt loop style hauler. With the double strands in the center, you can actually hook your belt loop through, or your belt through this one, leave the loop in the center, and then hook it through this one here as well, and it'll actually pull down on the belt loop as opposed to trying to just pull your belt down, and it definitely makes it more sturdy and more stable. I recommend watching it until the end before you try doing it. I give rough measurements during the video, but at the end I kind of let you know I did have a reasonable amount of orange paracord left over out of the 10 feet that I started it with, but that's because I shortened this up a little bit because I am shorter, and everything is kind of adaptive to how tall you are personally, and then also how long you want these drops to be and how tight you want this belt loop to be up towards the top. So there you guys go, and without further ado, let's get to how we make this. So what you're going to need to make this simple game hauler is a pair of sharp scissors to cut your paracord. I prefer using the spoon as opposed to like the side of my lighter to flatten off any ends of my paracord. You're going to need about bare minimum of about 7 feet for whatever color you want your cobra weave to be, and you're probably going to want it to be closer in the 8 to 10 range, just to give yourself a little room and be on the safe side. And then if you're doing a single loop with 4 game hauler drops, you're going to want about 3 feet of one color. I probably have about 4 feet. These are some scraps left over. I'm trying to use up some scraps in the process of making this. And then also, if you want a second and you want to have 6 drops for your game hauler as opposed to 4, you're going to need a second color of paracord as well. This will be a 4 color or a 6 drop, so I will show you how I do that. And then if you want to just do a 4 drop, it'll be a real similar process. You just use 1 piece of paracord as opposed to 2. So there you go, and let's show you how we do this. So first things first, take your longer section of paracord that you're going to use for your cobra braid, set it off to the side. If you're doing just the 1 and you're going to make the 4 drops for the hauler, you need just 1. Match up the 2 ends together, find the halfway point, and pinch it off there. If you're doing 2, well then you got to match up both of them and find the halfway point and pinch it off there. If you're doing 2, you line them up. You want to put about enough space in them that you can comfortably fit them around a belt loop when you go to do them. You want to take them, twist both around your fingers, wrap it around, and what I do is I take both fingers, put them together like this, so when I pull and cinch down on it, it makes it a solid connection. Now you're going to want at least about a 2-inch space in here. 2 to 3 inches is optimal, and that'll leave you with a very solid knot in there when you tighten that out to start your weave with. Now what I do so that it can't slip down is you're going to want to take your second piece or your third piece of paracord, that's about, like I said, 8 to 10 feet roughly, and you're going to want to find the center of this one as well. So work it down, get it to the center, and then you're going to want to take this, and I just pinch it off, and you're going to want to pull this around and through. And the reason you're going to want to pull it around and through is if you just start it below this with the paracord, with the cobra weave, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to have an issue down the road with whenever you put game on the orange piece or whatever color you make it, it's going to slide right down these other strands. So if you incorporate this in the loop right here, this can't slide down. And then you're going to want to start a cobra braid, which take the right hand side, go over, take your left, go over the top of it, around, behind and through, and then you got to pull this through. And the first one's a little tricky because, like I said, you're going over this. That makes it a little more challenging to start. But then you're going to want to come back with your left side, your right side over, around, behind, and through. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you kind of know how this works out. Let's see if I can better focus that for you guys. There we go. Much better focus. And then from the right side, and you just want to work back and forth left to right. If you've done a cobra braid before, it's pretty self-explanatory and you can probably pick up on it fairly quick. And then once you get this going, you're going to want to keep going. I make this approximately 6 inches, hence the reason you're looking at a minimum of 6 feet. It's about a foot per inch when you're doing a cobra braid. So I'm just going to do a single cobra, nothing too overly fancy, and I will cut you guys out here, and through the magic of video editing we'll come back when we've got about 6 inches of this done up. So there you guys go, and stay tuned for the next part. So through the magic of video editing, you're back and you didn't have to go through all that tedious weave, but I decided to actually stop a little short and only go about 3 inches on this one because my brother's only a couple inches taller than me, so I figured it doesn't do much good to make it too long and have him dragging it on the ground. As you can see here, to keep a stop in it, I've already got that one set up, so I'm going to show you how I did that on this side. What I did is you just take a loop, feed this through, and you're gonna, well, not wrap it around behind it because that makes it much more difficult, but you're gonna work this down all the way and you're gonna keep pulling it tight until you can literally cinch it right up against the weave. And then what that'll do is that'll keep this from backing out, and it'll keep it from making this end part come apart. Then from there, what you're going to do on every one of these is you're going to take about 4 fingers worth, so about 4 inches. You're going to do one little pinch like this. You're going to do a pinch up like this, and essentially you're going to make an S shape. You're going to wrap this around and around, and you're going to wrap it up. See how this comes around the first time and then it comes up over it the second time. And then you pinch it and you run this through the back right here, and you're basically making a noose knot. Now grab it tight, and I'll be honest with you, the first couple times you do this, if you fail, don't feel bad. It took me quite a few times the first time to get a decent slip knot, and even still I retie plenty of them. Like right there, I pulled it too hard and it fed all the way through. So all you do is you just pick it apart and you start over again, and don't feel ashamed. You're not the only person that's ever done it if you have to redo it. But they're pretty solid, and you want them to be solid. If you've seen my duck call lanyard video, then you definitely know that it's a lot of work to pick these back apart and have to redo this. But you want them good and tight. Good and tight ones keep your game from slipping out, and they keep your calls intact, and with as expensive as some calls are nowadays. So let's start this again. Start the loop. This time I'm going to maybe give myself just a little bit more space on my first loop. Create that S again. And a lot of the trick is keeping this super tight when you come around the second time. And when you get there, make sure it's tight. Feed it in from the back. Pull that through. And then, if you guys can see that right there, and you take this one right here and you pull that noose tight. And like I said, don't be afraid to cinch down on it. You want these good and tight. So there you go. I'm going to tie up all these, and then I'm going to trim them, and I'll show you how I trim them in just a bit. And then we'll get you guys a picture of what the finished product looks like. Well, as you guys can see, that's what the finished product looks like. One thing that I want to throw out there, if you ever don't want to use it as it sits, you can always pull these noose pieces tight, and then you can flip this inside out, and you can use it as a noose this way as well. But there you guys go. The reason I'm recommending at the beginning of the video to watch it all the way through, I did end up with about an extra 3 feet on each end of the Blaze Orange Paracord. My scraps for my other parts were maybe 6 inches. So that 3 to 4 feet for the camo, the centerpieces, definitely was very much on. But the Blaze Orange, like I said, I want to say I started out with about 10 feet to begin with, and there's where I ended up. So there you guys go. I hope this helps you enjoy time in the outdoors with your family and friends, and I hope it makes you a better hunter. And ultimately, good luck hunting, guys. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope it allows you to spend more time in the outdoors with your family and friends. As always, if you want to find out about our new things and what's going on, click the upper left corner to subscribe to our channel. And if you want to find out what our newest project is, click the bottom right corner.